And we're back with our PFL Europe predictions. The first PFL Europe card of the year from Belfast, Northern Ireland, to the main event. Paul Hughes takes on Bruno Miranda, and really that's what this entire card is built around. Let's just be honest. I mean, hell, look at the poster. The poster just has Paul Hughes on it. Bruno Miranda is nowhere to be found. PFL. Now, I hope, I'm making this video on Wednesday as you're seeing it right now. The card is on Saturday. I'm hoping we don't get a main event change because I made my PFL main event predictions just a couple days ago and the main event's already changed for that card. So we already have the actual main event on the card as well, or on the video. It's the co-main event in the video I made on Monday, but the PFL always changes up their cards every single week. I'm hoping this main event stays with Paul Hughes and Bruno Miranda, but it's a problem with the PFL. Do they not actually give their guys contracts? Like, is there no signed bout agreement so guys can just drop out at the last second? I don't understand. Anyways, folks, before we get in the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more PFL and UFC predictions here on the channel, because on Sunday we posted our UFC 315 predictions. Bilal, remember the name Muhammad, takes on Jack Della Maddalena from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. We did that predictions video early in the week, and go check that out. Greedo Plays, the main channel, daily MLB and NBA best bets. Also, again, subscribe to Greedo Plays MMA. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Okay, first of 10 fights tonight. PFL Europe, obviously, you have your tournament fights, and you just have your straight up, you know, your alternate fights. And this one is neither of those, because this is a fight between 0-0 fighter and a 0-1 fighter. So before we get into the brackets themselves, and oh, by the way, PFL Africa got announced today or yesterday, so we're gonna have our PFL Africa predictions coming up, I guess, in July, whenever it starts. Anyways, nice to see PFL is going into Africa before UFC does. Way to go. We've had 4 African UFC champions, and they've never been to Africa. What are we doing? Anyways, Dricus Du Plessis still a champ too. Anyways, Corey McLaughlin versus Nahom Wedi in our first fight here. I'm gonna go with Eritrea's, Eritrea? I think that's the country's name. Eritrea's own in Nahom Wedi to win the fight. There's not much to base this prediction off of, I'm going to be honest. These are two amateurs, basically. Corey McLaughlin fought his first professional MMA fight in November of 2024. Lost it by split decision. If you can find a line for this fight, don't bet it. There's literally no tell on this one, I'm going to be honest. You know, the only thing I can say is that Wedi is an SBG Ireland type guy, and usually SBG Ireland guys in PFL, let's just be honest, get favorable matchmaking. I feel like the PFL really likes SBG Ireland / Bellator, right? I mean, John Kavanagh used to always be at those fights. Conor McGregor would be at the Bellator fights as well in Ireland. So I would think Wedi's going to get a favorable matchup here just because he's an SBG Ireland guy. McLaughlin is 0-1. Wedi as an amateur went 11-3, but again, that doesn't really mean anything. Fought in Clan Wars and Cage Warriors Academy back in the day. I'll go with Wedi to win the fight by decision. I don't really have much to say about this fight. It's just, you know, it's a first professional fight to kick off the card. We go on to our second fight of the night, and we go to the women's flyweight division. We have got Gemma Auld taking on Sammy Jo Luxton. Okay, so this is my thing with the PFL. There are only 2 tournaments this year in PFL Europe. There's the lightweight tournament, there's the bantamweight tournament. They have gotten rid of a bunch of tournaments with their PFL Europe League this year. Last year, there was still women's flyweight. They used to have light heavyweight, right? Jakob Neto used to fight in this. What is going on? This is my thing with PFL. Yes, you're expanding. You're going to Saudi Arabia. You're going to Africa later this year. You're doing leagues over there. But why is your brand, you know, I guess, decreasing in size? Last year, Poliana Wisniewska was the PFL flyweight champion, and she doesn't get to defend her championship this year. And it's not like they put her in the main season. She's nowhere to be found. So Sammy Jo Luxton was fighting in the PFL tournament last year, I believe. She had to pull out. She's going to fight Lizzie Gevers, didn't fight, whatever. But again, it's just like, where is Wisniewska? I think she's on the next card, but why isn't she fighting like a Dakota Ditcheva? I don't understand what the PFL is doing. I just don't get it. Maybe Ditcheva versus Wisniewska would be a complete mismatch. Probably would, but I don't understand. Ditcheva, by the way, still doesn't have an opponent for this year. What is the PFL doing? I complain about it all the time, but I think it's a fair, you know, it's a fair take. Like, they bought Bellator and they've done nothing with it. You killed off half the Bellator fighters. There's so many fighters I can think of that just don't fight anymore because they're signed to PFL. Like, it's just, where's, again, I don't know if anyone's dying to watch Ryan Bader fight. He's in the Mark Kerr movie, but where's Ryan Bader? No one knows, right? Where is, I'm trying to think, Gegard and Mousasi, they released. I mean, you got rid of Aaron Pico. Just, I don't get, where is Patchy Mix? Anyways, I apologize for that rant. I'll take Sammy Joe Luxton. I did all of that to just get to this prediction. Yeah, Auld fought once PFL Europe last year. She fought a 0-0 fighter. Sammy Joe Luxton's build is a pretty good kickboxer, so I think she should win. I'll go Sammy Joe Luxton by decision. Don't bet on it. She's got 2 professional fights, and it's just, that's PFL. I don't know what to say. Third fight of the night, we move to a matchup here in the welterweight division. Another non-tournament bout. Ewen Sheridan takes on Malachi Edwards. I'm going to go with Sheridan to win the fight. Another SBG Ireland guy. I think he's actually going to be kind of solid. He's 6'5", 170, which is interesting. It's one hell of a build. He is built like a stick, let's just be honest. But that's interesting. That's right. That's an intriguing prospect if he can kind of figure things out. The thing is, he was 3-3 as an amateur. And he's been booked pretty easily so far into this 2-0 record, right? Fought a guy who had 1 draw, and that's it on his record, and then beat a 1-0 fighter in PFL Europe last year. And now he gets Edwards, who is 4-1 professionally, but hasn't fought anybody in his career. The 4 guys he's fought, or he's beat, are 7-36, 2-1, 1-1. He lost to a 3-3 guy, and then beat a guy who's 1-2 in his last fight. But the fight has been flagged by Tapology as potential issues with legitimacy. So I can't put anything into Edwards here. Guys, we've been down this road too many times. This is the PFL is trying to get a certain guy to win, so they're going to give him favorable matchups. I'm just going to be honest. That's what it is, right? And we've seen that before with a lot of SBG Ireland guys. PFL thinks they're going to build a whole, unit of up-and-coming Irish fighters through PFL Europe, and maybe they will, but honestly, guys, what stars have they created from PFL Europe other than Dakota Ditcheva, and maybe I can say Simeon Powell now? Because where's Kaharov, who's won the championship a couple times here? Jakob Neto fought twice in the main PFL after winning the PFL Europe Championship. He lost twice to the champion Impa Kasanganai, and I forget his first fight, I'm going to be honest with you. But no, it was Dulajang Nigashidamirdov. Neto lost to the 2 guys who fought in the championship last year, and he hasn't been back since. He's gone. What is going on with the PFL? So Sheridan should be able to win. Edwards is 6'4", Sheridan 6'5". Yeah, both at 170. That's something. That is something. Edwards has only fought at 85, though, so are we sure he's going to make this weight? I mean, Sheridan has done that, but Malachi Edwards, you're 6'4", trying to cut to 170 for the first time? Yeah, Sheridan should be able to beat this guy. I'm going to go decision. I could see a finish, too. I'll go Ewen Sheridan, though. Next up, lightweight tournament time. Claudio Pacella takes on Gavin Hughes. Okay, so both these guys have been around the PFL before. Well, Gavin Hughes was around Bellator. Pacella, right, a PFL guy. Pacella, another SBG Ireland guy, so expect again matchups that he can probably win. Last year in PFL, he won. So he lost in the first round to Patrick Harbo. Oh no, I think that was just a feature fight, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Anyways, his big win last year was over Mark Ewen, beating him by unanimous decision. He was a plus 520 dog. Very close fight. Pacella does get the nod, though. He does outstrike and outvolume Ewen. If I'm not mistaken, he does get dropped in that fight, if I'm remembering that fight right. Anyways, though, Pacella ends up getting the victory. He gets to fight Oscar Owensworth in the PFL Championship card, and he wins that fight as well. So, Pacella now 5-2 after stacking back-to-back victories after losing to Habaroa in his first fight of the PFL Europe year. He didn't fight in the season itself for the tournament, but now he is in the tournament. He gets Gavin Hughes, whose nickname is Big Tasty. What? He's 37 years of age, training out of Liverpool, England. I'll just be honest, I don't think Hughes really offers too much at this point of his career. He's 38 years of age. He's lost a lot recently. You look at his last 6 bouts, he's 2-4. His last 4 bouts, he's 1-3. Losses in Bellator to Daniel Scatizzi, Yves Landu. He did beat Muhammad Yahya in Bellator back in 2019, which again makes it all the more, questionable why the UFC signed Muhammad Yahya. Oh, I know why. He's from Abu Dhabi. But anyways, right, Hughes 1-3 3 in his last 4 fights. Skatizi lost, Landu lost, losing the split decision, comes back, wins a fight in Cage Warriors in his last fight over a 10-8 guy. Yeah, Claudio Pacella will win. He'll win this fight wherever it goes. It'll be a striking battle, obviously, and he will go out there and outstrike Gavin Hughes. Actually, I don't think he can out-grapple Gavin Hughes, but I don't anticipate the fight going down there. So expect Pacella. He's going to expect the shot. He should keep the fight standing, and I'm going to take the Italian SBG Ireland fighter here in Claudio Pacella to remain on the winning ways and pick up a victory by unanimous decision over Gavin Hughes. That'll push him into the second round of the PFL lightweight tournament, and we'll get to his next matchup later on the main card. Let's move on now to another fight in the lightweight division. We have got the Scottish fighter Mark Ewen taking on Alexander Chizov. I'm going with the Scottish and Ewen to win the fight. I don't think this really comes as a surprise of anybody. I'll be honest, I don't think Mark Ewen is as good as people think he is. At least he was hyped up to be pretty solid. He won a fight in Bellator prior to fighting in the PFL season or year in 2024. He loses to Pacella. Again, a fight that you can't lose. So if I'm not mistaken, he was originally in the tournament, I think? Or was he just never in the tournament? I don't think he was, right? Yeah, I don't think he was ever in the tourney. I get mixed up all the time with this damn PFL Europe thing. I'm just going to be honest. I don't think Ewan was in the tournament. Anyways, he loses to Pacella. Just a disappointing fight. He's a minus 900 favorite in that fight, and he loses to Claudio Pacella. His next fight in 2024, they say, you know what? Okay, you lost to a guy you were a minus 900 favorite in. We're going to give you a guy who has a losing record is 2-3-1 in Yassine Chatou. He beats him by decision. Yassine Chatou is now 2-5-1 in the PFL. PFL matchmaking for you. Love to see it. So you obviously know the PFL is trying to keep Ewan around. They want this guy to succeed, and I expect him to win here. He is a tall lightweight, 6 feet 1 inches tall, taking on the Latvian fighter in Alexander Chizov. This fight was supposed to happen on that PFL Europe 3 card last year in September, but Chizov did pull out. This guy hasn't won a fight in PFL since 2022. He's lost back-to-back fights to Akodin Duque and Daniel Skatizi by heel hook in the first round. Now his game is not grappling, right? He's gonna want to strike with you, and he should be more he should be more in his element this time around against a fighter like Ewan. But I don't think he's gonna be able to hang on the feet. Again, I'm not sold on the Scottish fighter here. I think there's a very good chance he loses in the next round, and hell, we've already seen Pacella beat him before, but I do think he beats a guy here in Chizov who's only 27, but 10-3 and has lost back-to-back fights to Skatizi, and prior to that to Duque. I'm going with the Scottish fighter Mark Ewan to win the fight by first round knockout. Next up, first round TKO. Next up, we go to the middleweight division. We've got a matchup here between Haider Khan and Sean McCormac. This is not a tournament fight because the PFL Europe doesn't have a weight class above 155 pounds. So here's Haider Khan versus Sean McCormac. We're going Haider Khan to win the fight. This should come to the surprise of absolutely nobody. This is probably the biggest lock on the entire card, okay? Sean McCormac, I don't know where they found this guy. 29 years of age, training at a fight academy in Ireland. He's 3-2. He lost to Oban Elliott back in 2022. Probably his biggest claim to fame. He's never beat a fighter with the winning record, and the only fighter he's ever fought with the winning record was Oban Elliott, and he lost. Did go the distance, but still lost the fight. He's taking on Haider Darth Khan in this one. I'd expect Khan to absolutely demolish this guy in the first round. If his PFL, Road to Dubai performance in January was anything, he should easily win this one. He beats Mustafa Neda over in that card in January. Neda was a favorite, and Haider Khan comes in there and beats him. It's an injury. He kicks his arm, but Neda breaks his arm with a kick that was targeting the body, if I'm not mistaken. I believe so. I think, yeah. Anyways, Neda injures his arm, breaks his arm, fight's over. Okay, good on Haider Khan. They're now giving him a pretty favorable matchup here, so obviously they saw that victory and they said, you know what, okay, we're going to start getting you some wins. I think the only reason McCormac's here is because he's Irish. Just going to keep it a buck with you. And I think Haider Khan should be able to win the fight. This is a guy who's fought before in multiple promotions. He fought in Anthony Pettis FC back in 2023. Win again over Neda, where, yes, he didn't really get the finish, but ultimately who got their hand raised, right? I'm going to go Haider Khan to win this fight over Sean McCormac. He should get it done in the first round. This is a 9-1 fighter, man. He's not horrible. That was a good spot for him earlier in the year, and I think he is going to be able to continue his momentum into a victory here on PFL Europe. Let's move on to our next one, and we go back to the lightweight division. We've got Decky McLean taking on Gino Van Steenis. I'm going with Van Steenis to win the fight. This does feel like a fairly easy pick, but then when you really look at Van Steenis, is he just here because of his last name, or is it because he can fight? Well, luckily for him, he's fighting a guy who's not very good. Let's just keep it a buck with ourselves. McLean is 9-5-1, really never beaten the most impressive guys. Whenever he's fought really good competition or high-level prospects, he has lost. For Gino, right, 5-1 professionally, 1 loss in KSW back in 2024. Coming off a unanimous decision victory in Phoenix FC for their lightweight championship against a fighter who was 30-25, which I just don't like. Win before that was over an 18-37 guy. Fought an 0-10 guy at one point. Don't love it. You know, I mean, there are fighters, again, who have had horrible pasts, and they turn out, you know, oh, okay, well, yeah, they're 10-0, but they're really padded, and how good are they really? And you're going to get different sides of that. You know, you're going to get a fighter like Tyler Santos, who fought fighters, I remember, in Jungle Fight with 0-16 records, and we thought, oh, this girl's coming into the UFC, she's not going to be good at all, and she comes in and starts to smash the competition. I can't off the top of my head give you a guy who's just fought nothing but frauds his entire career, but if you just scroll through any PFL card, you'll find one. Again, I just can't think of one off the top of my head right now. Anyways, Van Steenis should be able to win. I think he's going to. McLean, again, he's beaten guys, not very good competition. He's 33 years of age. My thing, again, with Gino is just, you know, what is he going to be in his first fight in the PFL? He's 27 years of age, right? Training out of Holland. We'll see. Again, he's shown decent striking. You know, he's fought in Glory before, got TKO'd in the second round due to 3 knockdowns. I believe that just ends the fight in KSW. I don't watch kickboxing, but I assume that's the case. But we've seen decent striking out of him. I think he should be able to win this fight against a guy who's 9-5-1. It feels like, again, that McLean is probably the worst guy in the bracket. Let's just be honest. So Van Steenis should be able to win. I don't think his long-term outlook's very good in this tournament. I'll be honest with you. I think Claudio Pacella likely beats him. But here I will go with Van Steenis to win a decision. Let's move on to our next fight, and we go to another, and our final, actually, lightweight tournament fight of the card. Connor Hughes takes on Sebastian DeFranco. The winner of this fight will take on Mark Ewen in the semifinals. I'm going Connor Hughes. I don't think this is a surprise either. Sebastian DeFranco's coming off a loss in 2024, had 1 fight in KOF, fought Nikita Leshkuov, who is now 8-0. Why didn't the PFL get this guy? He's 23 years old and undefeated, training out of France from Moldova. No, I'm serious. Like, why isn't this guy in the tournament? You couldn't... Yeah, what's going on? He's 22. Just take him. Nothing against Sebastian DeFranco, but it's just like, I look at this guy's record. I see he's lost to an undefeated guy. The guy's still undefeated. He's 23, and he's not signed to a major organization. And Sebastian DeFranco, by the way, guys, 2 fights ago, lost to a 9-9 Samuel Blasco. Yeah. You know, it's just, you get some of these guys, you know, he beat Balagioki back in 2018 in Balagioki's professional debut. It's great. Oki then would go on to win 9 straight fights before losing to Chris Duncan in his last one. Yeah, Connor Hughes will win. And again, you ponder, and this is myself, right? You wonder why that guy Leshkuov from Moldova, training out of France, isn't in the PFL and not fighting here. Is because they want Connor Hughes to win. Right? It's a guy who lost to Jakub Kasuba in his last fight for the PFL Championship, which again makes you wonder, where is Jakub Kasuba? That guy's now 14-0. He's 29 years old. Why isn't that guy in this tournament? Why isn't he not fighting for the other PFL tournament? When I said Kaharov had won back-to-back championships, I was thinking of Kasuba. I'm going to be honest with you guys, but where is Jakub Kasuba at? Nobody knows. So Connor Hughes loses the championship fight last year, and now he's back in the tournament, but the guy who won the championship does not have a fight. PFL, man. Connor Hughes will win. He smoked the competition before Kasuba, and I expect him to win this one. Again, DeFranco looks very fraudulent. I could see a late finish for Connor Hughes. I'm going to go safe bet, though. I'll go Connor Hughes by decision. I could, again, easily see, though, this fight not going the distance. Give me Connor Hughes. Co-main event, we move to the bantamweight division. I'll be honest, guys, I didn't even bother getting a picture for Alan Philpott. A lot of these fights, by the way, like, it is just that background that Alan has here, and I just paste a picture on there because PFL's lazy. They can't put their own pictures on their fight matchup cards. Anyways, Alan Philpott, guys, is 21-16, and he's fighting Lewis McGrillen-Evans in a co-main event. Again, guys, this is the most obvious case of we need Lewis McGrillen-Evans to keep winning. At least, hey, they kept him around, unlike Kasuba. Where is Kasuba? Why isn't he fighting on a card like this, right? McGrillen-Evans won the PFL Europe Championship last year at 135 pounds. There is a 135-pound tournament this year, and Lewis McGrillen-Evans just isn't in it. All right, so he's going to fight a 21-16 guy after that. That's great, but here's the thing, guys. What is the end goal of all this? Because there is no belt. The only belt comes in a tournament. So Lewis McGrillen-Evans doesn't have a championship anymore. He's not going to fight in that tournament anymore that, by the way, he won at 23 years of age. What is he doing now? He's just fighting a 21-16 guy? I mean, I'm serious. I feel like the PFL's only role now in mixed martial arts is really just to get guys to the UFC. Because, okay, Lewis McGrillen-Evans will beat this guy. Maybe he'll fight one more time at the end of the year. He'll be 13-1, former PFL Europe Championship in the bag, and the UFC signs him and they put him on an undercard when they go to Manchester again. I'm serious. Same thing with Dakota Ditcheva. I feel like they're just waiting for Ditcheva to leave, right? Every big fighter I feel like they have, but they're keeping, by the way, they're holding Patchy Mix hostage over here. I don't know. I feel like the same thing's going to happen with probably Archie Colgan if he can beat Mansoor Barnawi in a couple weeks. I don't know. I think McGrillen-Evans is solid. He lost a fight back in 2023, but he's bounced back great after, won the championship, beat Alexander Luster for the title, right? Again, he's now just stuck, though, in the middle of nowhere with the PFL. He will beat Alan Philpott by first round knockout. This guy, Philpott, again, is 21-16. He's 32 years of age. He takes beatings for a living. It will be interesting because he really only gets subbed, so maybe McGrillen-Evans does take him. No, he doesn't submit anybody, so maybe that's the one interesting thing. Like, all right, Philpott, it's kill or be killed, I guess, in there for him. He's been sub 14 times in his career. Last loss was an arm triangle choke from the bottom in Eternal MMA. Yeah, okay. He'll get knocked out in the first round. I know he's only been knocked out once in his career. Well, let's make it 2. I'm going Lewis McGrillen-Evans to win the fight by first round knockout. He should not be in there with the guy who's 21-16. Let's just be honest. That's, it's legalized murder. That's a little harsh. But anyways, main event time. Let's go to the lightweight division. At least Paul Hughes is getting fights, right? I mean, the PFL, they can't screw this one up. He's arguably their biggest star other than Usman Nurmagomedov. That fight, let's just be honest, that fight's going to happen at the end of the year. This feels very boxing, and I hate it, but it's true. They are going to book this fight. I don't know where I have a weird feeling they're going to put this in the PFL MENA Championship card in November. I think so. Right? They need a big fight to actually sell that pay-per-view, because I believe that's going to be on pay-per-view on DAZN in November of this year. So I think that's what they will do. I think Miranda, I think Paul Hughes will be in that spot at the end of the year against Usman. But I think they're going to wait all the way to November for that, just because, I don't think Usman's going to fight again before, and they just want Paul Hughes to get a fight in the meanwhile. Wow, this is surprising. I saw this for the first time. Oh, Dakota Ditcheva does have a fight. She is fighting in Africa. She's fighting Sumiko Inaba. Honestly, why do I not hate that fight? They could have done a lot worse. Johnny Eblen, Costello, and Steenis is finally happening. Wait, they're keeping around the Bellator Championship? This is my live reaction to PFL confusion. Interesting. Really interesting. Okay. Yeah, Paul Hughes, guys. So they're going to wait to make that fight until late November. They're going to, I think, right? Because that's the next fight. Randy Couture and Dan Hardy have already talked about it before, and O'Connell have talked about it on the PFL broadcast itself. They say, oh, Paul Hughes wants to stay active. He wants to stay in there. So, they're going to, or Paul Hughes will get a fight before he eventually gets his rematch against Usman Nurmagomedov. Great. Usman doesn't fight until then, though, because they have no challengers for the guy. Now, again, I didn't think Paul Hughes beat Usman. I thought it was a very close fight, but ultimately, yes, I thought Usman Nurmagomedov barely should have got the nod, and he didn't. We had Usman Nurmagomedov to win the fight. Paul Hughes is the second best guy they have. I think potentially he might beat Usman in a rematch. We'll see. Again, we'll get there when we get there, but this is nothing but just a rollover fight for Paul Hughes, okay? This guy was able to beat AJ McKee. That fight was very close too, but he won. He ran through Bobby King in his first fight in Bellator. Bruno Miranda is better than you think he is. He's 34 years old. He trains out of Phuket, Thailand. He's a Muay Thai guy, not Tiger Muay Thai. It's Bang Tao Muay Thai out there in Phuket. I think, is Tiger in Phuket too, or is it in Bangkok? I don't know. Anyways, Bruno Miranda has been around before in PFL, right? First season was in 2023, beats Ahmed Amir, beats Alex Martinez by split decision to get in the playoffs, lose to OAM, Olivier Aubin-Mercier, who eventually wins the championship, comes back in 2024, lose to Brent Primus, beats Patricky Pitbull by split decision in his next fight, and now here he is back in PFL Europe. So, or for the first time in PFL Europe, but obviously just fighting in a main event, not in the actual tournament itself. That's great. Miranda, again, a good kickboxer, so I think this will be a fun test for Paul Hughes, because again, this is a guy who strictly just trains Muay Thai. Now, Paul Hughes, he doesn't always go to his ground game, but if he wants to, it's going to be there. Bruno Miranda does not have a ground game at all. We saw Brent Primus really, and Olivier Aubin-Mercier really navigate fairly well on the ground, right? So if Paul Hughes wants it, it will be there for him. I think we're going to see a striking fight. I think we're going to, because I think, again, this is just kind of a statement performance for Paul Hughes. If anything, he's going to try to go in here and find a way for a finish on the feet to try to hype up that next fight, an eventual fight against Usman Nurmagomedov. And I don't think the fight's going to last past the first round. I'm going to take Paul Hughes by first round knockout. He's just better than Bruno Miranda. Miranda is 34, getting up there in age, and he's had a lot of fights at this point, right? I think Hughes should be able to get it. Miranda is coming off a competitive fight with Patricky Pitbull in the big 2024. Again, Patricky is old and not very good. So, you know, it is what it is. I think Paul Hughes will be able to get through Pitbull. Miranda, he would destroy Patricky Pitbull even worse. I expect a big flurry on the feet in the first round. Paul Hughes should find his way to, I would say, like a hook, and he should be able to put down Miranda fairly easily. Again, we haven't seen Miranda outstruck that much in the PFL yet, but if there's going to be a guy to do it, it's Paul Hughes. So give me Paul Hughes by first round knockout. Him and Usman probably do it again in November of this year. So folks, thank y'all for watching our PFL Europe. I'm sorry for the, the lateness on this video, but anyways, here it is. And honestly, maybe not the worst thing, because the PFL always changes their cards, and now 3 days before the fight, hopefully this is our final card for PFL Europe #1. We'll be back, I think, next week. I think the PFL's back for another PFL Europe card. I believe that's the Mansour Barnouai card versus Archie Colgan. That's in 2 weeks. Okay, so we'll be back in 2 weeks for more PFL, folks. If you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.